Hi, guys.
Hey folks, I'm Tita Hui with Ball Coin, and we are here with Joe. Oh no, I'm gonna put
Colangelo.
Colangelo.
Yeah.
I always can't figure out exactly how to say your last name.
We're going to get there.
Joe Colangelo. Got it. So Joe, tell us about yourself.
So, I'm the Executive Director of Consumers Research. We are the nation's oldest consumer organization, and we've taken a lot of interest in Bitcoin and its impact in the consumer protection movement. And, we're very hopeful on how it can impact it in the future.
So you're based in DC. We're right now filming from New Jersey, right?
Right.
And then you probably also visit New York a lot. We're from the West Coast, so we're actually very curious. You also just hosted an event with Wall Street Journal writers as well, Paul Vigna and Michael Casey. What is the scope of you from the East Coast, DC down to Jersey through New York? Like, why is Jersey friendlier? Why is DC and New York maybe not so much? Like, what is the attitude?
Exactly. So, again, it's not. I don't think it has anything to do culturally with New York or New Jersey.
Even with Wall Street?
Again, I really don't think it's a cultural thing. I think it's the individual people that are working to affect change, right? In New York, you have Ben Losky, who has his own interests that he's working to kind of advance, right? In New Jersey, we just happen to have a New Jersey native that's kind of very effective at communicating, Marco Santori, right? And then in DC, the regulatory burden has been picked up by people like Kelvin Chen and James Faust at CFPB. So again, the people that are working to build this, future regulatory environment are the ones who are going to build the future regulatory environment. It's not just going to be a kind of cultural thing thrust upon Bitcoin. It's people that are building it. So I think the East Coast is a mixed bag towards Bitcoin. It's a mixed bag towards everything. But we're trying to focus on this stuff. Whereas I think I'd say if I had to summarize kind of the California viewpoint in general, it's that, like, well, we don't need regulators. We have technology. We're saying, like, technology is great. Technology can do a lot, but you're not going to live in a libertarian utopia anytime soon, Bitcoin or not. So we want to work with the people who stand to have their industries disrupted to kind of make sure that we're not shut down before any positive change can be effected.
So you're with consumer research. You guys see a lot of payments vertical type of innovation occurring right now. Especially with like PayPal and Braintree. There's
Absolutely.
Facebook getting involved. There's a bunch of things happening. What is your general view of fintech and you know, including Bitcoin, not including Bitcoin?
So fintech is the most exciting place to be right now because the whole industry has built upon these. The payment system that we use right now is based on something that was supposed to be bank to bank, and it was bank to bank, and then somebody figured out a little bridge they could build on top of it that would be consumer to bank through a retailer, and then somebody filled it in a band-aid that could be consumer to consumer. But it would just take a few days to settle, and so everything that we have right now is built on this legacy payment system that is 100 years old. So fintech is finally coming along, and they're saying, like, what is money, and what can we hold as collateral? And so as they're kind of like reassessing what they can hold as collateral in consumer to consumer financial transactions, they're realizing huge efficiency gains, and that, again, I think we're right on the cusp of whether it's through Bitcoin or whether it's through Venmo or some of these other payment companies, just amazing innovations in consumer financial technology.
You think that'd be like the next? What do you see Bitcoin and fintech in the next few years? I guess, and tech as well.
I would say I always tell my parents, I don't think that you are a use case for Bitcoin. I think that by the time you're using Bitcoin, you will not know it because you will be using a company whose rails are running on the Bitcoin ecosystem, who are running on a blockchain of some kind, and probably powered by Bitcoin miners. So I think that as we see this disruption, it's going to it's going to be one of the more obscure disruptions out there, but it's going to increase the efficiency of our entire market by 1-2%.
It's exciting to think about because we were taking a look at taking an Uber here,
Yeah.
and didn't work because
By the
too
way,
much.
we're in New Jersey, which and
Yes.
she came in from New York. So if there's a journey to New Jersey from New York that could be as like Odysseus returning from war, this was it. So,
My taxi driver. I ended up in a taxi because Uber was surge pricing at point 0.9
wow.
so times the regular price. And I'm going, wait. It's supposed to be $70 normally, I think, or 50. I'm not paying that. So haggled a taxi driver and almost died. It's frightening. Please do tell me what the better ways are of getting here and how you see those transit models also maybe adopting Bitcoin or payment verticals and technology and making things a lot easier.
I would say that the sharing economy is just taking off. Right now, it's very clear. You hail an Uber and it takes you somewhere, or you hail a Lyft and it takes you somewhere. Every spot in every empty seat in a car that's moving in a single direction is unused capital stock. So if you can match that unused capital stock with consumer demand, then you're going to be able to create wealth. One of the major problems is that it's very difficult to pay somebody electronically 50 cents to give you a ride a half a mile. So Bitcoin is something that allows for microtransactions where previously microtransactions were uneconomical. So, the idea of planning a trip over a long period of time through public transportation, I think will become anachronistic as we move, as the sharing economy, coupled with microtransactions, hopefully aided by Bitcoin, becomes more reality.
It's fantastic that you're so pro Bitcoin. I mean, when did you get involved in Bitcoin and what fascinated you?
Again, I got in an argument with somebody on Facebook who was pro Bitcoin, and I said, "You are a fool. Bitcoin's never going anywhere. This is all going to end in tears, and have fun with your Ponzi." He kind of came back like, "Okay, well, why do you think that?" I said, "Well, you can't hold it." And he said, "Well, okay, well, like, what is real money? Like, can you hold the stuff in your bank account?" Okay, I said, "Well, you can't take it across the border." He said, "Well, let me tell you about a brain wallet." And so this went on for 3 weeks, where every day I would kind of like send another barb his way. His name's Darren Gruber. Darren, if you're watching, thank you very much for convincing me. But like every day I would send some reason why it was a bad idea, and every day he would kind of answer that question. And so again, this was early 2013. Eventually, he convinced me. Like I had no ammunition left, and so I moved from the first stage of Mike Casey and Paul Vigna's Kubler-Ross model of Bitcoin, which is disdain towards I guess, apathy or curiosity. I moved towards curiosity very quickly.
I think legitimization through regulation that is emerging pretty quickly is going to make Bitcoin way more consumer friendly and maybe more give it a stamp of approval. What do you think from a consumer research standpoint? What kind of like everyone's looking for a killer app? I mean, what kind of things do you think would be great for people to pursue?
I think that, again, our system is built on band-aids and bridges in a legacy financial system. If there were a killer app, I really think that Bitcoin's killer app may not appeal to the American consumer right away. So I think it's going to be bringing banking access to the unbanked in the world, right? 2 billion people don't have a bank account in Asia and Africa combined, right? So how are those people going? Are they going to set up bank branches in sub-Saharan Africa? Probably not. In the same way that they skipped phone lines altogether and moved right to cell towers, they're probably going to skip that brick and mortar bank and move right to electronic currency. And Bitcoin might be part of that solution.
I hear Bitpagos sees a lot of that happening in Argentina right now. And so it's kind of cool to see that happening. And I guess the U.S. will be the slow-moving giant behind Bitcoin.
Exactly.
But it is interesting to kind of question, since you're consumer research, what other things you see consumers being fascinated by, and what are the things that you guys heavily focused on at consumer research?
Again, it's really that multi-signature technology applied to consumer protection, so that their consumers can have. You combine multi-signature where a consumer holds one or two of the 3 keys for their wallet. You combine that with real-time audits, right? Forget stress tests that happen annually. Think about 24/7 real-time audits of financial positions that financial companies hold. So when we're focused on that, we're less focused on the price. We're less focused on some of the kind of fun Bitcoin companies that are getting out there right now, and kind of more focused on how this can change the regulatory ecosystem that we live in. Because technology always changes regulations, right? Regulations are built on an assumption about the technology that exists, and the technology comes along and kind of evolves, and sometimes those regulations are not as necessary after that technology has come along.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for the interview.
Are you kidding, Tina? Thank you so much. And thank you for coming out to New Jersey. We don't get a lot of visitors.
I'm actually kind of bummed I didn't come out. You built a luge.
That's true. I had a luge. You try to advance how Bitcoin can change consumer protection, and you try to get your name out there, and then you end up building an ice luge, and you get 1.6 million views on YouTube, and it's just like, oh my gosh.
It's insane. We have to, somehow show that clip.
Yeah,
It's
that's true.
pretty crazy. I was like, wow, that one bend looked pretty treacherous.
That's right. It looks more treacherous on film than it was in real life, I promise.
And it was right here, right?
It was right there. It was
here
over
we
there.
go.
Yeah.
We're right over there. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Tina,
and
thank you so much for coming out.
we're going to have you on the show more regularly.
Count me in. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.